All right, welcome to this webinar titled Open Access and Changes in Scientific Communication, a frank discussion between a consortium, an agency, and a publisher in the context of Frankfurt Book Fair Online. My name is Julia, and I will guide you through this webinar, which will shine a light on some of the aspects of developing a transition towards open access from three very different perspectives. So we have a consortium, an agency, and a publisher on this discussion. In the course of this webinar, we will focus on three questions, giving us enough time to answer any questions you might have. Please note that this webinar is being recorded. All material will be made available after the webinar. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, please send them via the chat and we will answer them at the end of this webinar. So with further ado, I will start with asking the participants to introduce themselves very shortly, and we will start with Martin Svoboda.
Good morning, everybody. I'm, as you see on the screen, I'm now director of the National Library of Technology, and at the same time, I'm acting head of the national consortium that was established only 4 years ago. And we are procuring the electronic resources for the whole Czech R&D scene. And now we are slowly trying to flip the agreements towards the open access. So this is my qualification.
Okay. If I may follow, my name is Vladimír Karen. I'm the co-founder and director of strategic development at Albertina ICOME Praha, or AIP. Our company has existed since 1991 as a distributor of specialized electronic resources. We started with CD-ROM, and we quickly moved to online since 1995. We are active in the Czech Republic and in Slovakia, and we work with a few dozen international publishers. We work with academic institutions in both countries and with consortia coordinators in the Czech Republic and Slovakia. And actually, we have quite a long experience in consortia deals because our first deal happened already in 1997. And since then, we've been collaborating in all the consortia projects, and now with Czech ELIP in the Czech Republic and with the Center of Scientific and Technical Information in Slovakia. Thank you.
All right, next up would be Moritz.
Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Moritz Thommen. I've been working for more than 25 years in the publishing industry. Today, I'm head of academic and research markets at Karger Publishers. Karger Publishers is a family-owned company based in Switzerland of 130 years. Concentrating exclusively on medicine and health sciences. My department, Academic and Research Markets, is mainly focusing on universities and on consortia. And so for the last 2 years, we have worked with different consortia towards open access in publish and read or read and publish arrangements.
All right, thank you. So to give a bit of background information why we selected this group of participants is that the three of you have worked on a read and publish agreement in the Czech Republic. This deal will not be the main focus of this discussion. However, we will look at the issues that we faced while setting up this deal. So I would suggest we start with the first question, which is that I would like to ask you to name your top 3 challenges when it comes to the state of scholarly and scientific publishing and tell us how these affect you. I would suggest we start with Vladimir on this question.
Thank you. Well, let me start a little bit broader. I'll get to the top 3 challenges quickly. I think that what we are seeing is really unprecedented because the scientific publishing industry evolved over nearly 350 years, and actually the open access change now is an epic transformation that can't be really compared to anything in the past. What is also untypical, I would say, on the open access transformation is that it's more a politically induced change than a natural market development, as I see it. And of course, that means that that there are some negative side effects that we, like predatory journals, etc., that we'll speak about later. Of course, open access is unavoidable, and we all have to respect that. And of course, all of that has an effect on us as an agent. It's a big change of the business model to us, and the 3 challenges that we face are actually: how shall we earn our living? How do we pay our wages, and will we still be needed? But of course, we see still a role for ourselves, and we'll speak about it later. We see it also as a new opportunity to get involved also at the publishing side of the business, in communication to authors, etc., and similar services and tools directed or focused on research, authors, and the other elements of the whole industry.
All right, thank you very much. Martin, can I pose the same question to you?
Okay, I will also start a little bit from the broader perspective, because, Vladimir said that scientific communication or scholarly communication started actually really more than 350 years ago. And the main purpose of the scholarly communication was, not surprisingly, to communicate, which is a little bit different from today, when a very important part of the scholarly publishing is just getting published, not getting read, not necessarily getting read. This is one of the problems that we are facing, and I see that leads me to my first major challenges, and the first of them is the assessment of science. Actually, how the science is assessed, because most of the science, at least in Europe, is supported from the public resources, public money, and the money has to be distributed on some rules. And one of the indicators of good science is publishing. So that makes enormous pressure on researchers that they do publish with the best publishers available, the best journals available, which is costly. And the issue of open access is, or the idea of open access is actually trying to solve 2 problems at the same time. And this is one, this is the communication, and on the other hand, the cost, because the access to outputs of scholarly research is very costly, as everyone knows, and the open access is trying to make it more, so to say, democratic, more accessible. And I believe that the first idea was really just for the profit of the mankind. It was not just for making things easier. On the other hand, the directors of European Committee for the electronic commerce, or for the market, electronic market, made it a key issue that the open access would not only help researchers hearing about one another, but also helps the industry to use the profits of the scholarly research. So the first moment is the assessment of science. As long as the science is assessed by the or the major criterion is the publishing output, then you, when I say you, I mean the publishers, are pulling the long hand. The second issue is that I know only about one major successful open access consortium, and this is the Scope 3 project by the CERN, where the particle physicists are publishing, so to say, for free. Definitely it's not for free, because somebody has to pay for that anyway. And publishing is a costly business, you know that, and somebody has to pay. And the physicists made a good agreement with the major publishers in this topic. And the key idea behind the success is that it is worldwide. So it is not just one country, but 44 countries, some 3,000 libraries, and several international agencies are working in this business, and it is a real success. So, and on the opposite, I see that a small country like Czech Republic is in the very difficult position to achieve the same on the national scale, because the subjects of the research are not covering the whole spectrum of the possibilities. So the worldwide concerted action is, to my mind, also a key issue. And the third point is a little bit, to me, a little bit comical. Although I am a director of a library, I don't think that a library could be a good publisher. It is a very, very specific profession requiring long experience, knowledge, etc., etc. And this is not just by writing an article and putting it on the web. So that is not publishing, that is rubbish. Yeah. So I see that we can't live without you. And when I am speaking about you, I mean the publishers. And Vladimir is somewhere in between us. And when I'm saying we, I mean we, the libraries, who are really organizing this communication or this documents flow. So that's my third item, that I don't think the publishing business should move from publishers to libraries. I believe it's a nonsense.
Thank you very much. Moritz, the same question for you.
Yeah, so I'm very grateful for the statement of Martin, acknowledging that publishers have a special role and are necessary for the services we provide. The challenges we see are partly overshadowed, in my view, by open access. Open access is a key development, and Carter is very much embracing open access and working towards open access. But I think sometimes there are other major issues which are a bit neglected. So I think the educational issue is a very important one. We see in different regions very different standards of publishing, of researchers, authors preparing manuscripts, for instance. And I think there is lots to be done to educate, especially young researchers, how to prepare manuscripts, how to be successfully publishing. And this is something which is a bit overshadowed, in my view, by open access. Another issue I would also see is the sheer flood of content. Vladimir has mentioned the predatory publishers, undermining also trust in publishing. So it seems very much necessary to assess the value of the publishing content, the point also Martin made. And everything available, everything open in an ideal open access world does solve a number of issues, but we have other issues then to find out what is really valuable contribution to research and science. And maybe as a last point, where I'm not sure how we could solve the issue, is the reproducibility crisis we see. So many studies cannot be reproduced by other researchers, and that poses very fundamental questions to the scientific community. I guess part of it can be again addressed by educational measures, so paying much more attention to the method section in the original research articles, for instance. But there might be other difficulties behind that. So that would be my three challenges. Open access, open science is part of the answer to the issues we have, but not the full answer.
All right, thank you very much. I would move on to question number 2, which brings us a bit more into the nitty-gritty. So the question would be, government institutions, libraries, authors, what issues have you faced while trying to launch or facilitate the transition towards open access? How important are publish and read and publish agreements for preparing the move towards open access, in your opinion? And how do you think agencies and publishers can assist or help during the transition that institutions go through? I would like to start with Moritz again.
Yes, so publish and read and publish arrangements are for us a key in the move towards open access. I think they're a very important way to work together in a dialogue. Publish and read and publish arrangements provide a framework which allows for a sustainable and slow transition towards open access. And I think for all the stakeholders, or for most of the stakeholders, that's very much needed. In many markets, the value of the historic subscription does not match the value of articles published with a publisher. And that poses immediately questions how we could find a solution to enable read and publish at the same time. And over time, then find a way where the publishing element becomes more dominant. And finally, we are in a full open access world. So the arrangements we have with consortia, they allow for a slow transition for the libraries and the publisher, and that's very valuable. Obviously, there is a lot of pressure to move fast towards open access, but I think only a very intensive dialogue between all the partners can lead to a success of the transition to open access. And so our experience is also that in that dialogue, agents play a major role, because agents, in the best case, they have a relation of trust with a consortium, and they have a relation of trust with publishers. And we all know that there are sometimes conflicts between publishers and consortia, different point of views. And so agents are key to reconcile those positions. And so I think also that agents are important when trying to reach out to other stakeholders, to other personas, which are becoming more important for publishers. It's important to reach out also beyond librarians, for instance, to talk to research directors. And Vladimir and me, in happier pre-corona times, were able to travel in the Czech Republic. And so we had a number of workshops and meetings with faculty members, research directors. And so the agent is key in this regard to enable such meetings. We don't have a researcher today on the panel. I think all the stakeholders should do more, because they are obviously the important partner in this process. They are the ones producing the content. So I think everybody should do more to involve the researchers, including actually publishers, involve them in a dialogue about the transition to open access, and finding common ground, because as we all know as well, sometimes authors, researchers do not care that much about open access. They only care about publishing high impact factor journals. So that was a rather long answer, but I want to stress that the publish and read, read and publish arrangements are for us crucial in a transition towards open access. We also do flip journals from subscription model to open access, but the deals with the consortia are really very important.
Thank you, Moritz. Vladimir, can I pose the same question to you?
Yeah, thank you. I can fully support what Moritz just said. I think the read and publish deals are kind of a reasonable and mutually accepted compromise that allows the whole transformation to happen within too much risk and too much sacrifice to anyone. I'd say that we are in fact buying time to rebuild the whole process, the way how researchers and libraries, publishers, agents work, and what's important is that I think that there is a positive will at all sides to do it. I think that as Moritz mentioned, the agent's role here is to help to make it happen, to find out probably even more compromises or more understanding better, because as we've already seen, the open access deals can't be really copied from one country to another, or from one region of the world to another, because there are always varying speeds and of course also costs involved across the globe. So the whole the whole model needs to be adjusted to the local circumstances at a given moment. And it's very important to speak to all participants in the process, and also the more we go to the future, to the open access future, the more will be needed also to make researchers part of it, to reach out to them, not only to educate them, but also to get them involved in the whole process. Thank you.
Thank you. Martin, what is your take on this question?
Yeah, well, I don't have too much to add because almost everything was said already. So from a certain point of view, it may be seen that we are in a battle between publishers and libraries who have to spend money and to provide all the necessary information to libraries, and at the same time, we need you because the libraries are also a agent in the assisting the researchers in publishing, finding a good place where to publish, and so on and so forth. So this battle is sometimes quite hard, but the result must be the only one, and we both have to survive, and with as few wounds as possible. And the agent could be a help in that, because to be successful in to agree on a transitional agreement, be it read and publish or publish and read, the first necessary point is to know the landscape in which we are operating, to know our data, to know how much we know quite well. I mean, when I say we, I mean the Czech ILIP, Czech National Consortium. We know quite well how much we are spending on resources, but there is another part of resources that is being procured outside of Czech ILIP. This is not too much. It's some 10% maybe in the Czech market, but still it's a 2 million euro approximately, and at the same time, there is a lot of money spent on pure publishing for APCs to publishers, which are going from different through different channels, so that we don't know. And that was our first exercise last year, that we tried to discover how big these sums are of the money that are flowing around Czech ILIP, so that we have no, I don't mean controlling it, but having knowledge about that. It's important for making a good agreement, that we know how much you get from the country. If we don't know, it's difficult negotiating. So yeah, so this is the first thing where also the agent could help, because he's knowing the country. He's also already operating in the country quite a long time. So this data could be helped. The agent could be helpful in getting these data. And to the second question, how important are the publish and read and publish agreements? So this is a very useful vehicle that it is very difficult to find an agreement which is pure open access, that the whole country only covers the open access publishing, and that's enough for the publisher to deliver what is requested from him for the whole country. So then publish and read and publish are the very useful tools. And I'm not quite sure whether this is just a temporary arrangement. Rather, in some countries, in some subject areas, it could remain like that. That it reflects the real situation in the country, and could be very useful for both parties. And yeah, I have already mentioned that the agents are helping us, in particular in the respect what we call herding cats, that the libraries or institutions are difficult to plug together. Yeah? So the agents could help us in the communication with them and so on. So yeah, Vladimir mentioned that we are buying time to the time where everything will be published, gold open access, and I'm not 100% positive and sure that this time will ever come, that we are simply, and I don't mean this is something wrong, that we may find a reasonable equilibrium between being published openly or buying the rest of resources which are not yet open. And I don't know for sure when the time will arrive when everything in the whole world will be published in open access. I'm looking forward, but I'm an old man and I'm not 100% sure that I will live to.
Thank you very much. I think we can move on to question number 3. So the issues we've discussed so far demonstrate that the transformation our industry is undergoing is far beyond just a simple change. And I would like to know, can you describe specific issues that the transformation creates for you and your organization, and how your organization is positioning itself in the process? I would like to start with Vladimir, and I'll move on from the question to Vladimir's slides.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Our company has been around over 29 years, which is or isn't long, depending on how you look at it. But from our history, we haven't or we are not seeing that much of a change of our position and of our role. It remains very similar, and it can be viewed from 2 different angles. If I may ask for the next slide. So this is the pessimistic view. We are the middleman between 2 large stones, the publisher and our customers, the consortia and academic institutions. But there's also an optimistic view on the next slide, because we think that our most important role has always been being the mediator, and I should say proactive mediator, between publishers and customers. It took us time to get to that position, because we started only 1.5 years after the Velvet Revolution, after the changes in the Czech Republic, or Czechoslovakia at that time. And of course, both sides, both the publishers and the customers, had taken some time to find out that we are a trustable partner, that we are not there just to make some quick money, but that I hope that we proved that it's worth to listen to us, because we learned to know the local markets. Of course, we learned to know the people, because there's always people, not robots, not computers, at the end of the line. And we all learned to give our trust to the others. It's of course a very, very special or delicate position. It means very carefully balancing, because of course we are in the middle of the interests on both sides. If I may ask for the last slide, we moved on to representing, on one side, representing and promoting the publisher to the local market, and we also represent the local market to the publisher. We try to help to keep everything in balance, and to make it all happen. we provide services to our customers and first line support in our local language, which of course is an advantage, although the knowledge of foreign languages, especially English, have tremendously increased. And so when we come to the open access transformation, we are already an active participant to it, and we continue to see our role in helping both sides and being part of the process. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Martin, may I pose the same question to you? And I will start with your presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Well, NTK, the library I'm directing for more than 25 years, which is awful. But we are in the business already since the break of the century or the millennium. That we started with Springer and Elsevier. We had a fantastic contracts then, negotiated a full country Springer for then unbelievable. I don't remember exactly, but that was really peanuts comparing to the current prices. And Elsevier was also very friendly then, but that was changing, and that learned us in negotiating business. And what is important, as I mentioned already before, is knowing your partners, knowing the institutions in the country, and that's it. So please, next slide. I have also had some experience with the Zwole Group, which was a group of people initiated by the Dutch researchers and librarians, and trying to find the equilibrium between the rights of author and publisher and the teachers and the students, which was very, very important. That was really in 2000 or 2001 too. And that gave me a good insight into what's really the essence of the whole business. And here we can see on the graphs made by Heather Pivovar that the open access is growing, and it is projected. The future growth is also projected. But what is very very important, that not only open access is enough, that the open access, I mean the article being published as open is not enough if it is not accompanied by a appropriate license, which we will see later on the requirements of the Plan S. That because only the license gives the possible users rights what he or she can do with the contents, because having access, you can just read it, but it doesn't say that you have to use the article as a raw material for your research, that you can modify it and so on and so forth. And this is what is dubbed as the bronze open access, that it is open, but without rights, without license attached to that, so that it does not have this potential usefulness as it is expected by the profits of open access. So, and those two slides are also interesting in that respect, that it appears that for the authors it is very very useful or profitable to publish in open access, because not only that the articles are available, but they are much more viewed, much more seen, that means also much more cited. And this is again usually a component of assessing the quality of an article. So next slide, please. So these are 10 principles of Plan S, which is the plan strongly supported by the European Commission, by the Coalition S. And I have highlighted the first and the 10th commandment, so to say. The first one is what I said before, that the copyright is retained by the author, not as it is nowadays quite common with the publishers that the material property rights are given to the publisher, and the author has only the ideal intellectual property rights. But what is important for the authors, I don't know whether some authors are listening to us, but it is important for them that they require that the article is not only published as open, but also is accompanied by the CC BY license, that it gives him the right to be published, to be named, to be connected with the opens, with the work. However, it gives all the rights to the user, that he can modify, he can use it for his purpose of work. And the last commandment is that the funding will be assessed on intrinsic merit of work, not on the venue where the article is published, whether it is a high impacted journal or a open access journal, which is not so highly impacted, but the quality of the article must be assessed as the key to the assessing the quality as a whole. So these are, I would say, these are two parentheses in between them are the other requirements, that the assessment should be made on the merit, and on the other hand, the article, the open article should be assessed. I'm sorry, it should be accompanied by the appropriate license. So next slide, please. And yeah, here we see the definition of read and publish and read agreements. But what is made on the pie chart on the right is the current situation, that we see that, and I believe the resource of this data is quite respected, and we see that there is not too much. For instance, in our consortium, we have some, I don't know exactly, some 50 agreements with publishers, and only 4 of them are nowadays in a transformative way to the open access. In UK, in Germany, it is 14, 13, Netherlands as well, United States only 10, however, with the very important publishers and so on. So that we have still a long way in front of us, and we are only hoping that the opening of science will proceed in a good pace. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. Moritz, would you like to follow up on that?
Yeah, please. We have to be a bit careful about the time, because we also would like to take some questions in the end. So I will go quickly through my slides. Just a brief remark to Martin's slides. Very interesting figures. Plan S has been quite a challenge for publishers. I think there are issues with Plan S still for publishers. We would need to discuss in more detail, but there is no doubt that Plan S has intensified the discussion. I think we're grateful that Plan S acknowledges that hybrid journals have a function after all in a transition to open access. That has been very important for us. Without that, it would have been very difficult. So very quickly about where we position ourselves. I've mentioned that open access is only a part of the whole change we see, and we are adapting to that change by positioning ourselves with different new services. And our goal, our ambition is to cover the whole cycle of knowledge, to populate the cycle of knowledge with services covering needs of different stakeholders. And we are also reaching out beyond the research, the scientific community, and trying to cater to the needs of patients, clinicians. That's something which is very much part of our new overall strategy. So diversification. And with that, I would ask you to go to the next slide, please. If you look a little bit more closely at the research cycle of knowledge, we have identified areas where CARG has not been very active. On the right-hand side, with Curate and services, traditionally be very strong in publishing and distributing content. And we have come up with an acronym which covers all the different services we have developed now and are still developing further. Next slide, please. So this acronym consists of PACS, Publish, Access, Curation, and Services. In the publishing area, open access is very much in the focus. In the background, also very much open science. But if we talk about publishing as a focus, it's very much open access these days with Publish and Read offers, APC vouchers, and a new product line, Partner Publication by CARGR. Access is the traditional way of offering access to content behind the paywall. Curation, I've mentioned earlier on that there is a flood of content and we see a great need to filter out relevant content. And so we have started to offer a service discovery tool, QInsight, it's its name. It is a service tool based on artificial intelligence by a US startup named Curtle, and we are cooperating with them and offering those services as well. Finally, the S stands for services and can be basically anything, also future areas where we move into. Currently, it's mostly about educational services we are offering. And with that, Julia, we come to the CARGR purpose of the strategy. It's connecting and advancing health sciences. So with all these new services, we are trying to cover needs, trying to amend things as well. And in this sense, connect and advance health sciences. So I've tried to be brief about that and would hand back to Julia so that we can see if there are any questions.
All right, so far we have not received any questions from the audience. I would like to ask you, if you have any questions, please send them through the chat. In this case, I would pose a follow-up to the three of you. And my follow-up question would be, where do you see your organization in, let's say, 5 to 10 years time? I know you don't have the magic ball that gives you the answers, but maybe you have some idea where you would hope to be at or where you think is realistic to be at. Moritz, would you like to do some projections?
Yeah, so in 5 to 10 years, we foresee or we think that the transition to open access has been progressed very much, maybe not completed, but progressed very much so that open access becomes the norm and the standard. There might be a few subscription journals still around, but we think we will be in an open access world. Obviously, we have the difficulty of different speed in different regions. So in some markets, open access is not so much a priority as it is in Europe, and we have to deal with this on the way. As I have just shown in the screen, so we are developing services. We will remain a publisher, but we will become very much also a service provider. And so with these services, we hope to maintain and actually intensify the cooperation also with academic institutions, with universities. reaching out to different personas, to different decision makers in the university. So that is very much our ambition, and I think that implies also an intensification of the dialogue with the different stakeholders to learn about needs, to try to cover needs. And again, I foresee that an agent might play a role in that, not so much with the selling of services, but maybe with consulting and getting paid for services in this area. We also are developing, as I mentioned, products and services for clinicians and patients. And so in the future, we hope to cover the whole cycle of knowledge and also profit from synergies in the different areas. So that's a short statement about what I hope will happen.
All right, thank you, Martin. May I ask, where do you see, or how do you see the role of consortia developing?
I would say that I cannot imagine open access progressing in the scientific community without consortia, because it is not a task for one institution. It's simply impossible. So the consortia are definitely have definitely a very important role in this concentrating the money flow, because it's about money as usual. That it's about money that is flowing from the public sector to publishers, and formerly the whole stream went through subscriptions, and nowadays it will split between read, which is subscriptions, and publish, which is open access, which is APCs. And somebody has to reasonably govern this public support. And I can't see anything but the consortia that are covering the most of the scholarly communication in the country on the both sides, both on publishing and reading. So this I see is very important. I have noticed that Moritz was talking about your publishing house is turning not only to just publishing but also additional services, and this is, we do the same. That we are not just about buying and helping the researchers to find the best place where to publish, but we are also providing them additional services, be it repositories for their articles, or which is now, and we didn't touch that topic, and I'm glad that we did not, because it would be another story, and it would be another 1-hour seminar or webinar. I mean the research data. But nowadays it seems that each article that is aspiring to having the tag research must be accompanied by data, or at least with some essential extract of the data which is behind the article. Because what is the article? This is the proof of hypothesis, that you find something and you are giving a proof that it really works like that. So what I see, the services are also important on our side, and this is also on the topic that was mentioned at the very beginning by Moritz, and this is helping young researchers and early career researchers to be good at publishing. This is not an easy task. To write an article is not like write a story. It has some rules, and it is not easily understood by the young people who come to the university without much background, which is the case in particular in Czech Republic. So there we see quite a lot of work in front of us, and we are working on that field also quite strongly. And Yeah, so that was the services, and yeah.
Martin, can I follow up with a question that we have received from India? The question is, how will funders assess research? That was one of your points previously. If it's not necessarily by the journal that research has been published in, and how do you encourage young scientists to publish?
So several questions at one moment, but
Yes.
as usual. But first, how to assess? Well, I don't have a magic ball, as you said, but I think that it should not be done on a very day-by-day basis. It should be done on a long-term basis. So and this is not about individual people, rather about research groups or research institutes or departments that have to be assessed by the steady initiative to be on the top. That means working with international partners, having educating young scientists. So all these items should make the very complex base of the assessment of the just obviously the publishing is important, but nowadays we see the very bad practices that as Morris named, that the articles are copied and with a slight change published in another journal, but this is not worth being called a real scientific journal if they allow for that. That's a shame on them. So yeah, maybe publish less, but good in good places. Well peer-reviewed with renowned peer reviewers, and build a good team with senior researchers, with a young blood. Have good international relations, and this is how it could be assessed. And the last question: how a young researcher can or where he can get published? Yeah, it's always. I understand that it is not easy to get published in Nature or in Science, but there are also other journals that are worth trying to get published there. And obviously, it is a matter of the merit of the subject that you are trying to communicate to the world. And if the contents is important, interesting, surprising, opening new viewpoints, then probably hopefully you have a good chance to get published.
All right, thank you very much. Vladimir, your video is breaking up. I hope you can still hear me. So I would like to pose the same question. Where do you see your agency in 5 to 10 years' time? I think he has some kind of internet connectivity issues.
Yeah.
All right, we're at the end of the session. So I would like to thank the speakers for this enlightening discussion. I would like to thank the audience for their time and attention. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your Frankfurt Book Fair. And that's it for me.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.